Hello and welcome to this series on critical thinking. Today I'd like to talk to you about an article I read on the BBC website about violence in Burma, or Myanmar as it is called now. Myanmar predominantly calls itself a Buddhist country, although it has minorities, Muslim minorities and Christian minorities. There's been a wave of violence recently, according to the website, and I don't want to get into who is blaming who between the Buddhists and the Muslims, but I would like to discuss the activities of a monk called Ashin Wirathu, who has been very prominent in coming out with a number of statements about the Muslim community. And I would just like to read to you what the BBC website says about him. What is beyond dispute is the visceral fear and resentment of Muslims, openly expressed these days all over Burma. They refer to them in Mandalay with a derogatory term, Kala. The most prominent exponent of this view is a 45-year-old monk in Mandalay, Ashin Wirathu. Imprisoned in 2003 for inciting anti-Muslim violence, he was released last year as part of the broader amnesty for prisoners. He organized protests in support of Buddhists in Rakhine State, where communal violence broke out in June, and published speeches which have been widely distributed. He presents a frighteningly xenophobic picture of his country. He says, "We Buddhist Burmese are too soft. We lack patriotic pride. They, the Muslims, are good at business. They control transport, construction. Now they are taking over our political parties. If this goes on, we will end up like Afghanistan or Indonesia." Ashin Wirathu has amassed a collection of what he says is evidence of the evils of the Muslim community. He accuses Muslim men of repeatedly raping Buddhist women, of using their wealth to lure Buddhist women into marriage, then imprison them in the home. Their population is growing too fast. They are taking over, and so on and so on. I am quite interested in Buddhism, and I attend a temple weekly, and one of the foremost ideas in Buddhism is loving kindness to your enemies, and tolerance for different opinions and different religious views. We're also told that, of the parable of the wolf in sheep's clothing. Anybody can put on robes if they so wish to do so, and say they're a monk. In my own country of the United Kingdom, there are probably few people who'd wish to do that because there is very little benefit to do so. It's probably not going to gain you any credibility in a nightclub with the opposite sex, for example, if you are dressed as a monk, and there doesn't appear to be a great deal of economic benefit, but in other countries there may well be. And I'm afraid to say that's what simply appears to be the case here with this man. He is simply saying things that are, to even someone with an introductory understanding of Buddhism, not Buddhist, by definition, preaching what amounts to a kind of race hatred. It just goes against the whole point of Buddhism and what it is about. And what is quite saddening is that the majority of this country, which calls itself Buddhist, appears to agree with him. Now, as we're well aware, the issue of Islam is a touchy one in the world at present, that needs to be handled with a great deal of sensitivity. But I just wanted to point that out, at least on my own opinion, that there's a simple answer to this man, that he's not a Buddhist, and these do not reflect the views of Buddhist philosophy. They're the opposite. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. The article describes him as very charismatic and carries a lot of authority with the people, and maybe he does. But the fact of the matter is he is saying things that are incorrect and has to be challenged. That's something to think about. Okay, thank you.